Raghunath, are you ready for this?
What?
The wisdom of the sages trainings that are going on.
Where?
At the Eco Village, the Govardhan Eco Village in India.
Why?
To totally transform your life spiritually.
Who?
You, me, Raghunath Swami's going to be there. Other great teachers are going to be there. Lots of cool people.
How?
You go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. You find all the information there.
Haribo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubh Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Super Soul Farm. It's Friday. It's Tell a Friend Friday. Hey, check this out. This is what you're going to do today. Here's your first instruction for the morning. You're going to find a class that you like, get the link to it, or at least take a screenshot of it and make it a story on your Instagram or on your social media. Because today's the day we concentrate on spreading the good word to people who need it. There's a lot of people right now who need some spirit in their life. You know who they are. And sometimes they're just following you and you don't even know them. You don't know their story. You don't know what the hardships they're going through. And they might need a little light. And so we can give that light. Today is Give It Away Day. Give it away to someone that you love. Share the podcast with people that you like. If everybody on Zoom did it, we got like 100 people. All of our listeners, we get them like 10,000 a day now. 10,000 people hearing the Bhagavatam every day. Good morning. How you feeling, Kaustubh? We just did a in-house premiere of Tom Essig's movie yesterday. It was so fun.
The film is called Something Divine. It was really a story about Raghunath in, it's not exactly a story, but it was following Raghunath leading a pilgrimage through Rishikesh, through Pushkar, through Vrindavan, and the experience of all the people on the Prikrama, and just being immersed in that world, the thoughts that they had and the realizations that they're getting and the culture that they're experiencing. It was beautiful, really powerful experience.
Yeah, it was really tastefully done. I liked it. My kids were like, oh my God, I miss India so much. It brings back all these wonderful memories too. So Tom, good luck. We're going to get really behind that when it goes to the next level, but super excited to see it. This is our winding up of our Wisdom of the Sages meetings we've had at the farm. I go to Daytona this weekend, by the way. If you're down there, it's at a place called the yoga classes are sold out, but the satsangs there's more space because people are sitting. That's at Platinum Health, Fitness and Yoga, which is in Ormond Beach, Florida, which is right near Daytona. So I'm taking off for that today, and I'll be back for Monday. But we're doing shows this weekend. We're going to decide about Sunday, but I'm going to be down there. But it's been great hanging out. I tell you, it's hanging out with the devotees. It's just joyous. It's the greatest joy of the heart, and the heart breaks when I'm isolated from that spiritual connection, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. You're going to miss me. That's what I'm going to say. You're going to miss me. Your pillow fight days are over. By the way, do you remember all the, I came into the show yesterday a little sad, a little depressed because Mara had forbid me to eat the nut pod milk. And I made this joke about by the a joke, whoever was pitching this to like their company, hey, look, I've got a creamer, a plant-based nut creamer. That is the most delicious creamer you're ever going to meet. Okay, sure. What's the name of it? Nut pod. And I was like, what? Do you even work here? Check this out. I made fun of the name Nut Pod, and I get this message from one of our regular Zoomers. I'm not going to name her name, but she said, ha, 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 listening to the podcast today. No joke. My friend, I can't name the name, was the person who came up with the name for Nut Pods. She came up with it when she founded the company 10 years ago. She had the vision of it being little plant-based nut It's sort of like how you have those little creamers that you get, like if you're, if you're going to the gas station, you want a cup of coffee, they give you a little creamer. So it was going to be like a little nut pod. Well, it didn't work in pods. She had to do larger containers, but never changed the name. And I never knew how to tell her that it was the worst name ever for an amazing, delicious product. Your reaction made me laugh so loud. Thank you for sharing that. That's the story behind nut pods.
Connections, miracles are happening every day here.
Well, Tom, the Krishna miracle yesterday, we were watching this movie and we were in a village in Nandagram, which is in Vrindavan. And there was this, 19-year-old boy. He's very beautiful. I was trying to marry my daughter off to him while I was there, but he was a very beautiful man. He was 19 and he's doing this like a magical dance. And while he was doing the dance, I kid you not, 3 minutes later, I get a text message from him and it comes up on my phone.
Why was it 3 minutes late? What's with that? What kind of miracle?
Give me a break. How you want your miracles? You might have to wait 3 minutes, my friend. They're not going to, right? It came right up and my daughter saw it. It was actually on my watch. My daughter was like, oh my God, is that him? What? This stuff happens all the time. When you're in tune to it, the magic happens. Huh?
Okay, I'm with you. I'll try to tune in. I'll try to follow you, Raghunath. That's what I took from the film. Just follow Raghunath and the magic happens.
It's a magical world out there, isn't it? Okay, we're going to go into our... Mara, any announcements for us, please?
We have a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting at 1 p.m. today. And tomorrow's our Q&A day. So if people have questions, they can email them to us at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
Well, all righty. What was your favorite part of the film yesterday, Mara?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many good parts. It was so great to see all that footage from India.
Yeah.
It makes me really excited to go back.
I know. Me too.
Paramananda was great in it.
Oh, yeah.
Paramananda
really carried the whole story. It was great. Paramananda he really shined. It was beautiful. Yeah, and I loved Sue, Tom's wife's just very heartfelt story, or dealing with cancer. And she's like, I did everything right. I took yoga, I ate health, and I got cancer. And what am I going to do about this now? And her pilgrimage and her journey.
Death was a bit of a theme in the whole thing, wasn't it?
I think death is the theme of life. It might be the ongoing theme of life. Death, loss, getting stuff, losing stuff. Yes. Anyway, we'll keep you posted on something divine as it develops. All right, so let's get into our nugget today. We do a little nugget at the beginning of class. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard. We do a little nugget, a little piece of universal truth that we share. And this week we've been doing Bruce Lee. And next week we're going to do Goethe. Deep Philip. Yeah. Garrett, you're going to be surprised at how wise this man was.
But we got to get the name right. It can't be Goethe.
It's Goaty. Okay. Here it is. Be like Bruce Lee.
This concludes our Bruce Lee week here.
Okay. Be like water, making its way through the cracks.
You got to say that slower. And
be more like me, more like water.
More like you're some Chinese kung fu guru or something.
Okay. Be like water, Kostuba, making its way through the cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way. Oh, I'm sorry. You shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves.
Okay, read that again.
Be like water, Kostuba, making its way through the cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. The story of our life, Kostuba.
Is it? Okay. No, but actually it's such a hard story. It's such a hard point to get. It sounds, when I hear this again, I feel like the world that we live in right now, it always like takes a statement and then sees where it falls short, and then kind of like can only see that the opposite, kind of. In other words, someone could hear this and say, well, what are you just supposed to be like a doormat and just let anything happen? You're right. But no, this is Bruce Lee speaking.
Yeah.
Right.
Bruce Lee's not saying be a doormat. That's the last thing he's saying.
He stands up for himself, but there's a wisdom to this, and it's an important wisdom, that the idea that we try to that a wiser person, I think it has a lot to do with growing older too, because as you grow old, you begin to realize the world is not going to change for me, right?
Well, not all old people become wise.
No, but it helps. In other words, that aging process is there to help us understand that. It's like it's almost the universe is designed that we grow old, and then through that growing old, it assists us. It's there to assist us. We may not accept that assistance,
Sure.
but it's there to assist us to understand, hey, my whole life I've been like pushing against this and pushing against that, frustrating myself. And in the end, it really didn't matter. Let me actually, the word he uses is rigid. He says, if nothing within you stays rigid, then outward things will disclose themselves, right? Like what makes us rigid? What makes us uncompromising? Or, it's like we have these desires in us, the Bhagavad Gita, such an interesting point. When we had the spiritual scientist on some time ago, we were talking about Bhagavad Gita and, the battlefield setting, which can also irk people, right? Can also trigger people. And the point he made was when Krishna speaks about the enemy, and he'll use the word, the enemy in the Bhagavad Gita, he tells Arjuna, he doesn't say the enemy is anybody on the other side of the battlefield. He says the enemy is actually kama or desire, right? And of course, we understand the deeper meaning of that is it means material desire, not spiritual desire. But in other words, we have these material wants, what we feel are material needs, and we kind of make ourselves more rigid. We kind of stand up for them, and we fight for them, we battle for them. And as you get wiser, you realize it's not through those things that I'm finding my happiness anyway. I've been butting my head again. A lot of times it makes it worse.
Sure.
Let me not be so rigid. Let me be a little bit softer. Let me be like water, and let me see how to adjust to the external circumstances. That's a better strategy than trying to change all the external circumstances to adjust to me.
Sure. I've been trying to change the ocean current instead of surfing with the flow of the ocean. Surfing with the flow.
Yeah.
It's like a riptide. Or keeping the ocean analogy, I used to surf in my surfing days.
Did you? I was totally
A little bit.
unfamiliar
Yeah.
with
I've got
this.
many lives I've led Costuba. And if you get sometimes you get like taken underwater and it just tumbled and tumbled and tumbled. And it doesn't seem like you're going to surface. And it's a good time to just sort of like panic. And like you're like, I'm gonna choke. Which way? And you can't figure out even which way to swim because you've been just getting told, if you're just being tumbled by the waves. And then my friend, who was a little older surfer than me, just said, all you got to do is just count to 10. Count to 10 in your mind, not with your lips, of course, but count to 10 in your mind. And by the time you get to 4, you'll most likely service. But what happens is we panic, we react, and then fear sets in. And there's like a chain of self-destruction that happens generally. It's how people die in challenging situations, like fear takes control. And a lot of the things I took away from what you were just saying was fools rush in. Fools want to react immediately, and they want to get loud and angry and ferocious, and they just have to. You actually have to sit and observe, and it's sitting and observing. Then you can actually take in the wide spectrum of information, and instead of just pieces here and pieces there, and then I come to my conclusion instead of making my conclusion so quickly, and trying to die on this hill before even understanding the entire situation. Maybe I took it in an entirely different way.
That was great. I think you and I are starting to get there. We're not there yet. We're not fully like water. We're having these meetings and then we're dealing with all our disagreements, right?
Yeah.
And we get all angry.
Oh yeah, I got angry yesterday. I was like, you think I'm like that? I'm not like that.
And I get all frustrated. Why are you being like? And then we become like water. Like we're a little like.
Yeah, we're sort of like we're like ice. We're like a little ice, a little ice, and then we melt. We're like thin ice.
We got Braj Bihari here. He kind of like.
He's like, okay. Why the anger?
Or no, like, well, there's a model to help us understand like why you guys are acting like such idiots right now. And if you think about it, then you'll be better off. And then we do, and it works.
I tell you, Braj Bihari is such a word. He is just a ray of light. He's a peacemaker.
The harmonist.
The world needs you, Braj Bihari. The whole world needs you, not just us.
I don't know, maybe we should get into it. Maybe it's too much right now, but this Bruce Lee thing, it also reminds me of just, we talk about it, we bring it up often enough on the show, is the end of the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where it just lays out this way to move through this world. The way that it's framed is Krishna saying, this makes one dear to me, right? But it's just a beautiful way to think about life. And a lot of it does have to do with being more like water, being more adaptable, being less rigid, You want to hear it, or you want to read it, or?
Yeah, you read. You read.
The microphone. Okay. So this is Krishna, it's text 13 through 20 from the Bhagavad Gita. It's just a great meditation. We're coming to the end of the week here, right? One who is not envious, one who has no animosity, right? But is a kind friend to every living being, who does not think themselves a proprietor and is free of false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service and bhakti with determination, their mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. One by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
Let me jump in here. Hey, you want to be dear to Krishna? We're going to give you the key right now. You want to be dear to Krishna? We're going to tell you how to do it right now. Ready? Continue on.
Okay. My devotee, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, carefree, free of all pains, and not striving for some results, right? Not rigid. They're very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association. You're going to separate, you can that. Always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Was it kirtan? Such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and bhakti, and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Very, very dear.
Just read this, meditate on it. Don't flip it to the other side and try to misunderstand it. Try to understand what it's saying. I think Bruce Lee would love this.
Yeah, I think Bruce Lee, he gets this. Yes, that is the secret. The secret of life just revealed. Tell your friends how to be dear to Lord Krishna. Thank you, Bruce Lee. It's been a great week.
Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna. It seems like people on the message board like when we sit together, Kastuba.
Yeah.
Yep. He's trying to get away from me, but I won't let him. I tied our legs together. We're doing 3-legged races, walking around.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Rabhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Medatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Just thinking of something.
Oh, squirrel boy. Continue on.
Well, I was thinking, it just came to my mind that in relation to our Bruce Lee quote and not being rigid and just being like water, a certain softness that he's talking about. That there should be a certain softness in us that we're cultivating, a certain adaptability. And I once heard there's a very important, you got to stay with me, Raghunath. You got to stay with me because you're Googling stuff. You're doing something. I don't know what you're doing over there. All right. But I was in our particular, we practice in a particular branch of a particular school of Vedanta, right? A particular yogic path called Gaudiya Vaishnavism. I really think we ought to kind of popularize more, calling it like Chaitanya Vaishnavism, right? Like the followers of Sri Chaitanya.
We've decided on our own behalf, without in consulting anyone, we're going to change the name of the spiritual tradition. Is that okay with everybody?
Well,
Dan Murphy, you okay with that?
it is referred to
Steve
that way.
Amar,
like,
you good?
Scholars often refer to it that way, because it's kind of a geographical term when we say Gaudiya Vaishnavism. When you say Chaitanya Vaishnavism, in what sense it can be more precise.
I think that's a
Fair enough.
I don't think that's like we're changing it to that. That's sort of what it is.
Okay, so within Chaitanya Vaishnavism, there's one verse. Maybe this verse is more treasured or more important than practically any other verse, and that's a verse from Sri Chaitanya himself. Trinadapi Sunichena Todori Vasihishana. Right, it's getting down to the very core of this practice that and the practice.
This is where I stole the 6 pillars from.
That's where you kind of
extracted it right from there. Made it my own.
adapted it.
Adapted it.
Maybe appropriated it would be.
Some could say appropriated.
Misappropriated it,
And
perhaps.
now reselling it to them for top dollar.
Okay. But this verse, it's saying Trinadapi Sunichina, it says feeling what's up lower than the grass. Toror Iva Suhishnana, being more tolerant than the tree. Then Amanena Manadena, demanding no respect for oneself. I don't need that. But offering all respect to every living being. This is the state of mind. It's almost like a Bruce Lee thing, right? Like there could be some guru is like saying that it's in this state of mind that you become deeply absorbed in the holy name, that your meditation goes very deep and you transform. And so I've always heard that verse presented that way. It's about being more humble than the grass, right? Everybody walks over the grass. Does the grass complain?
Grass never complains. As long as I've been alive, I've never heard the grass be like, "Hey, cut it out. You're too heavy."
I haven't heard it. And more tolerant than a tree. The tree, it's hot out. The tree's there. It's freezing cold. It's raining. Does the tree complain?
Two lovers carve their names. Raghunath loves Kastuba.
Excuse me. What? Okay. So we've always heard it more humble than the grass, more tolerant than a tree. Now, I once was in a talk by a Vaishnava, a Bhakti yogi, in another branch of Bhakti Yoga, right? He was coming from the Vallabha Sampradaya, a very similar branch, in so many ways.
Sure.
And he quoted this verse. So he was quoting a verse that was outside his own lineage, but he was interpreting it in a way that I never heard it before.
He Trinadapi Sunichena.
Yeah, that verse. This was Shamda. You remember, of course, Shamda.
How did he interpret it?
He said that like a blade of grass is very soft and a tree is very rigid. And so in order to become deeply absorbed in meditation, we have to know in life when to be soft, when to be adaptable, and then when to stand up, and be rigid. So life is a balance like that, right? We're hearing Bruce Lee's thing, and it sounds like, oh, you're telling me to be a doormat. Well, you need to know when to be adaptable and also when not to adapt, when you stand up and you make a change, or so that's, it's the wise person can balance things. I think we're not balanced enough in the world today right now. Everyone's out of whack.
We're a little out of whack. But that is the you ever look in a mirror and just be like, it's like a whole nother world in a mirror, but it's backwards. That is spiritual life. It's sort of like, and you can't get in the mirror. It's hard. But
Have you tried?
Yes, I have many times. But the idea is that spiritual life is it's like that. It's like it's right in front of our faces. Krishna is right, but we just cannot get in. Imagine if you had some secret incantation, some secret key to enter into that opposite world, where actually love and distress bring you to higher amounts of ecstasy, right? Where gain and loss, where heartbreak, and the birth of a child, all these things that we see as duality, if they could actually all the things, even the most difficult pain in this world somehow can bring you to higher ecstasy. The material world is the opposite. It's the reflection of the spiritual world. Imagine if you had a secret incantation, code, instructions to enter into that mysterious vault mirror reality.
What is that incantation?
We just told it to you and you weren't listening. Trinadapi Sunichana, right? We have to enter this world. When we take that holy name, when we take these mantras, as our meditation, we have to do it in a humble state of mind. We have to, in the material world, in the opposite world, the reverse world that we're living in, I'm desperate for people to notice me, to validate me, think I'm cool. It's the opposite. I have to start, and what else goes with that is I think I can find my worth by taking everybody else down. If he's got a problem and she's got a problem and they got a problem, that makes me feel a little stronger in what I am. Wrong.
Flip it.
Flip it upside. What do we call that?
Big flop.
The big flip flop. That's the big flip flop. You got to flip that around. I have to train myself not to ever size somebody up when they come in the room. Like, who the hell does that guy think he is? That is like the ultimate like materialistic mindset. Somebody walks in the room like, who the hell? Such a horrible way to be. If you say that, if you say those three words, who the hell, when somebody walks in the room, you should understand you're in total Maya. Okay. But if instead of sizing up the whole world, what if I just say, wow, that person, how can I dig deep and find the quality? How can I find the good qualities in that person? Oftentimes you don't have to dig deep. You just have to be sensitive to it. But my feelers go out the other way. My feelers are looking for what's wrong with them to help bolster up my feeling of self-worth. I'm not going to find any worth in myself by finding other people's shortcomings. That's not going to give me worth. So when this is the secret of the holy name, actually, is not begging for validation, but training ourselves to see good in others, being tolerant, being forgiven. What else we got there?
Offering all respect to others.
Offering all respect and not demanding respect. Letting go of the resentments I'm carrying around with me. It's going to, what we do in our material life, it creates it's almost like trying to get out, but you're in a little vault or in a little box, and there's a low ceiling. So it doesn't matter how many saris or spiritual clothing I wear, right? Or what do we call that?
Saris do you wear?
Oh, I got a lot of saris. Rose quartz malas. That's not going to do it. That's not going to get you out of that box. You got to do this thing. You got to flip it around. How I treat people, how I see people, how I think of people. And then all of a sudden, you go right through that mirror. You go right into the opposite world.
Yeah, that's what opens up the mantra. Like, in other words, we may have this, people that are listening to this have likely some kind of spiritual aspiration, attracted to spiritual things. And there's these mantras, and we have some faith that there's some potency in these mantras. But what the guru is doing, and that's what Sri Chaitanya is doing in this verse, is saying, yeah, the mantra is there and the mantra is potent, but our ability to absorb that potency is limited by our attitudes, by how we move through this world. We need to learn to become more like water, more like the grass, more like the tree.
I like how you said that. It's a limitation. What would you say? Our thoughts, our activities are a limitation of how far we can go in this world. And also, we've been training ourselves. I can say in this lifetime, I've been training my mind and my consciousness not to see the good in people. To how to get one up on people. I've been, snooping around for validation from others, my entire life. And when I enter into my spiritual world, like, okay, I want to create a spiritual path. That whole thing's flipped upside down now. I have to recreate not just those gross things, like I can't take intoxicants. I can't, make food my God. I can't make people my God. I got to make God my God. Not only those gross things that we try to cut off, we have to start flipping the way we think. And that's super difficult. And that is a very long practice. And again, we're not asking people hey, come join our costume change club. In this club, we wear different costumes than the Christians and the Muslims. We have a new set of, who cares what costume you're wearing? Who cares what Join our crazy haircut club. We've got little ponytails. That's not a win for us. We have to win by changing our hearts and changing the way we move in this world and treat people in this world. You can be in this game. You can be in the club for 50 years. But unless that shift of the heart has happened, we're not going nowhere quick. We've just shown up publicly. Braj Bihari? Yeah, okay. He said Braj Bihari says yes.
It's being like water over there. Yeah.
What
sure,
you
that was
say, what
okay.
you say. Yes.
All right, you ready to get into it? I squirreled you and we went way off, but we can wrap up this chapter today. It's been a long time. We've been on this wonderful chapter, singing the songs of Lord Shiva.
Gaudiya means
It refers it's
a region, a geographical, right?
It's Bengal and part of Orissa.
Gaudadesh. Gauda. Oh, you're
Gaudadesh.
correcting me because you've been hanging with the scholars.
Just saying it right. That's all. I hope I'm saying it right.
Oh, God.
Ready?
Yes. Wait, I already did. That was a squirrel, my friend.
I know.
You know that?
It was a
You
little
just
squirrel for
no.
me.
That was a monstrous Guinness Book of Records squirrel. I've never squirreled that big because we had already done the prayers. We were already into the Bhagavatam. You took us on a mad squirrel chase.
But my squirrel went to Bhagavad Gita and the Shikshastakam prayers of Sri Chaitanya.
I'm not saying it was an
Your-
evil
your
squirrel.
Squirrels go to
Nut pods,
Instagram.
nut pods, animal attacking.
Animal attack, things like that. Are you ready? Where are we?
Maybe if I ever become a great acharya, instead of calling me like Bhakti Pod, Prabhupada, they will call me Nut Pod. Uh-oh, we got some
Case, maybe?
nutcase. We got some bad news coming up here. My battery's on low, about to die. Mary, you're gonna have to take over the show. This if everything goes black, okay? Go. Here we go. What text, Mary?
Canto 4, chapter 24, text 71.
71. My dear princes. Why does Lord Shiva sound like he's from the UK? My dear princes, in the form of a prayer, I have delineated the yoga system of chanting the holy name. All of you should take this important stotra with your minds and promise to keep it in order to become great sages. Huh? Take the secret incantation?
Keep it.
Huh?
What are you turning into now?
By acting silently like a great sage and by giving attention and reverence, you should practice this method.
Well, what does that mean? What does that mean by being silent? Is that what we're doing? Like, is that our thing?
Truthfully, silence within bhakti means don't speak your nonsense. And you know what that is. Everyone's got a lot of nonsense dribbling out of their mouth at various times of the day. And you know what it is. I've got my nonsense. I know that. You don't have to tell me. You know what your nonsense is. That's real silence in bhakti. Okay.
That's what'll give you the ability. He's saying, take this mantra, keep it close to yourself, but also how you live, how you speak. That's going to affect your ability to absorb the potency of the mantra, right? Otherwise, your mind is distracted. So he's saying silence is good for that. But again, we say we're not necessarily like there are these monavratis. You ever meet people that do that?
Yeah. They go like this.
Yeah, you try to talk to them
And they just go like this. They wave their finger in front of their mouth. No, Baba. No, Baba. No,
They don't
Baba.
talk.
No speaking.
So that's not what we're doing exactly.
No, the Vipassana people. Just like Kylie and Brian. Kylie and Brian, the Vipassana lovers. They're not even on the show today. Kylie and Brian,
She was here earlier. She must still.
they listen on Zoom. They fell in love at a Vipassana retreat. Happens. They're like hand gesturing. Art
They
you.
were doing like Morse code with their eyelids.
Shh. Retreat.
Here's my number.
224.
How it worked out.
How do you say what area code in sign language? Anyway, excuse for that little Vipassana nugget. Oh, it's Kylie. She's on the show somewhere. Okay. Anyway, it's a great story, Kylie. Come on.
Okay, next text.
Hey, people have fallen in love here at Super Soul Farm.
Now say we're back.
Okay, we're back.
We had a bump.
We're on text 73.
72.
72. This prayer was first spoken by Lord Brahma, the master of all creators. The creators, headed by Brigu, were instructed in these prayers because they wanted to create. Don't make me go on a whole Brigu squirrel, because that could be good.
Okay.
That could be really good. But
What about astrology or about kicking?
astrology and kicking Lord Vishnu. Who could kick Lord Vishnu? Should I tell that story?
No, I don't.
Okay. 73. When all the Prajapatis were ordered to create by Lord Brahma, we chanted these prayers in praise of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and became completely free from all ignorance. Thus, we were able to create different types of living entities. It's pretty interesting. Origin of species. You want to know the origin of species? I'll tell you the origin of species. One being creating many different beings
With his mind.
with his mind. You think that's crazy? How about peacocks, parrots, banyan trees, boars, and goats came from nothing? That's pretty fantastic itself,
Okay, I know now. I see where you're going. Yeah, I'm with you.
right? Okay, text 74. A devotee of Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence, chants this stotra, which stotra is like a type of prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay.
Without delay. This is important, actually.
There is a difference between stotras, stubbas, and stutis. Have you heard that? Wait, you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
But let's get into this. You know,
I think stotras are authoritative prayers handed down, where stubbas are personal, your personal heart sharing a prayer.
in any case.
In any case, Mr. Speculator.
Yeah. No, but in any case, what I want to draw attention here to is Shiva's just wrapping up his whole thing. He's given this whole he had a group of attentive young yogis, just taking in whatever he had to say. Let's go back to where it started, right? They knew that they were going to have to take up this big political social responsibility. So these 10 young yogis, they walk to the water. So that then they say, we're going to go into the water and meditate. And as they get to the water, Lord Shiva and all of his followers rise out of the water.
That's like an auspicious sign. If you're going to go meditate in the water and then Lord Shiva comes out first, you're doing something right.
Good start.
By the way, good name for a band, Attentive Young Yogis.
Okay.
Attentive Young Yogis from Rishikesh.
Okay. So then he says, I'm going to give you something that you can meditate on. And he gives him this whole meditation on the form of Sri Krishna. And now he's kind of wrapping up the whole thing. And he's saying, you know what? This isn't a new thing. This has been meditated on, this is how the universe started, based on this meditation. This is what can purify you to create wonderful things in this universe, and to do it in a way that is connected, that is beautiful, that it's not destructive or problematic, but that in a way that's harmonious, harmonious with nature, harmonious with the will of God, harmonious with your own nature. And in this way, you find satisfaction, you find peace, you find happiness, and all of that. So, but what he's saying here is there are many different methods, many different yogas, many different paths he could have shared with him, or with these yogis. But he's saying that this path in particular, this is what the Bhagavatam's here to kind of like, clarify completely. He says this path, it's a path of yoga that he says, he uses a term, achirat, without delay, right? Like I think like chirat means like delayed, and achirat means without delay. But it's a word that we find Krishna uses this word when he's speaking about bhakti yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. Like, for instance, in the 12th chapter, we read the end of the 12th chapter today.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the 12th chapter, Arjuna asks this question. Real important clarification gets made there. Arjuna begins with, which are considered to be more perfect, right? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, those that are practicing bhakti. This is what Lord Shiva has given them. I'm going to give you a way of practicing yoga where you fix your mind in bhakti. He says, are those Are they more properly engaged, or is it those that meditate on the impersonal aspect of you, the impersonal Brahman? And Krishna he's quite adamant about it. He says that those who fix their minds on the personal form and always are engaged in connecting with him, with transcendental faith, he says they're considered to be the most perfect. And he said that those that worship the unmanifested, right, those that aren't interested in God being personal, right, he's saying that they can achieve a state where they will eventually connect with him.
It's not our opinion.
It's not our opinion.
It's not our opinion. We're not just saying, like, this is my opinion and this is how I see it. This is how Krishna's explaining in the Gita.
But he makes a real important point about this path. He says it's dukkam, it's difficult, it's troublesome, right? And then what Lord Shiva is saying here is exactly the point that Krishna is making in the Gita. He says that for that person who worships his transcendental form with love, he uses the same word, achirat, he says here, na chirat, right? Not after a long time. In other words, swiftly. He becomes the swift deliverer of that person. He says it here. He says it in the 5th chapter. It's again and again said. The point is, it's not that we're saying one. It's not like a sectarian idea that one path is better. But Krishna himself is saying some paths will facilitate. Just like in this world, we see some paths are faster than others.
Yeah.
He's saying it's not invalidating any other path, but it is saying that there is the point of all of this is to realize your connection with that divine source of everything. And if you take a path that goes directly there, it's going to be a swifter, smoother, less troublesome, faster path.
That's very rational. You're a very rational man. By the way, that's your homework, everybody. You got to read those last verses of the 12th chapter of the Gita today. Starting with what? What was it?
I think it's 13.
Starting with text 13. Okay.
13.
That's your homework. It's not such bad. I think it's what, 20?
Just 6, 7 verses. It goes up to 20. Yeah, 13 to 20.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up the chapter. Huh?
Okay, let's wrap this. That's our
Without
time.
delay.
Yeah. Okay.
75.
Without delay. In this material world, there are different types of achievement, but of all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest because one can cross the ocean of nescience only on the boat of knowledge. Otherwise, the ocean is impassable. Yeah, I'm taking the kids to the ocean this weekend. Did you hear about that? It's going to be really fun. Got beach towels, got a little boat, and got some floaties. The ocean of nescience.
Let's wrap up the chapter.
Dad, this isn't the regular beach we go to. Okay. Although rendering devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worshiping him are very difficult, if one vibrates or simply reads this stotra prayer, composed and sung by me, he will very easily be able to invoke the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So if you just follow, it becomes easy. If you try to do it without following, you're going to have a difficult time. But just follow in the footsteps.
If you walk the way how you were, I will follow. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the dearmost objective of all auspicious benedictions. A human being who sings this song, sung by me, can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee, being fixed in the Lord's devotional service, can acquire whatever he wants from the Supreme Lord. Whatever I want? Whatever I want? A devotee who rises early in the morning.
Oh, here we go. The Pal Shruti.
Here's the Pal.
Shruti.
A devotee who rises early in the morning and with folded hands chants these prayers sung by Lord Shiva, as demonstrated by Kostuba here on the left, and gives facility to others to hear them. Oh, that's what we're doing right now. Certainly becomes free from all bondage to fruitive activities. So we got that going for us. Okay.
Yeah, karma.
All right, my dear sons of the king, the prayers I've recited to you are meant for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul. I advise you to recite these prayers, which are as effective as great austerities. All those great austerities you're thinking of performing, this is just chant this. In this way, when you are mature, your life will become successful, and you will certainly achieve all your desired objectives without fail. Mara, take us away.
All right.
What
I
do
got
you
some good
got,
takeaways.
Mara? It's Friday. We need some pieces of wisdom to carry with us throughout the course of the day. Can you help us?
Yes. Miracles happen all the time, sometimes 3 minutes late.
Yep.
Let go of rigidity, be like water.
Be like water. Be like water.
The universe is designed to assist us.
Is it?
Yes, it is. It seems like it's designed to hurt us again and again.
Spiritual life is right in front of our faces, but we can't get in.
Can't get in unless you have the code. Email Mara. Wisdom of the Sages 108 to get the secret codes.
Death is the theme of life.
Yeah.
Take the direct path to reconnect with source. Flip the script to humility and tolerance.
Flip it.
Flip flop.
You won't find self-worth through others' shortcomings.
Pop it.
And just follow Raghunath and the magic happens.
Aw, y'all. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Hey. Thanks for everybody who supports this podcast. Just want to put that out there. There's a lot of people out there who support the podcast, a lot of others I've never met. It's a community-supported podcast. And if you've not supported us and you want to, you can buy us a latte. Buy me an oat milk chai once a month. That's $5. $5 a month. If you're getting a chai's worth of pleasure out of this for a month, buy us a chai, people. That would be. Don't actually buy the chai. Just make a $5 donation to the podcast. Go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. For the price of a chai, feed Kostuba. Look how skinny this guy's getting. Thanks for everybody who does it already. Patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. And then you get into our Patreon vault of goodies, of classes, of workshops, etc. And it's huge. Join us and join the Patreon party.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining the show live. That's fun, too. Join us live here on Zoom. Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. Mara will give you the secret codes of the universe for entering Zoom. And then, of course, join us in India this January. Why not? You want to stay in the cold and ski and snowboard and drop in a icy half pipe? No, you don't want to do that, Kelly Skinner. You want to come to India. Even Kelly's leaving Vermont. And Patrick Hefferman, they're leaving Vermont to come to India. We got a Kirtan Academy. We've got the wisdom training, and we got the 300-hour teacher training all happening. Go to wisdomofthesages.com and go to events, and you can lick it. You can click it. You can click it and link it and link it. I'm not even in the frame here, Christina.